It's Thursday, the 5th of October, 2023. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories, 5 minutes. Let's get going. Story number 1, the ASX 200 closed at a new 11-month low yesterday as rising bond yields in the US and locally play havoc on equities and the Aussie dollar.
Yeah, look, the market closed down nearly 1% yesterday to 6,890 points, a level last seen in November last year. Now, some very big companies have recorded some very big falls over the past couple of months. Commonwealth Bank is down 8% since late July, reflecting uncertainty in the economy, profit margins, things like that. Macquarie Group's down about 12% in that period. Energy giant Woodside's off 10% since its most recent peak, though Santos, its competitor, has done a bit better. In mid-June, Blood Plasma Group CSL announced disappointing profit guidance with margins under pressure. Its share price is down nearly 20% since then. BHP's relatively flat, that's done okay, but Fortescue Metals is down 12% since late July. A big exception to the rule is Wesfarmers. It's jumped 7% in the past 6 weeks after its better-than-expected earnings announcement. And one to note, Qantas's share price fell 1% yesterday, hitting a new 11-month low. The carrier's share price is off 27% since June 1. That's when former CEO Alan Joyce sold 2.5 million shares. Now, Michael, it's mostly about bond yields, though not always. Qantas, for example, has plenty of other stuff going on. Yields are used to value equities and other asset classes. In this instance, yields are rising fast, effectively devaluing equities. Yields on 10-year bonds are heading towards 5% in Australia. In the US, long-term bond yields have risen even more. In short, high US bond yields make the US bond market more attractive. People want to put their money there. Casualty equities and currencies, Michael.
You mentioned the Aussie dollar, Sean. Why has that been hit?
Well, it's been hit because of these high US bond yields, along with things like global uncertainty, relatively low local interest rates, and a pullback in commodity prices. The Aussie dollar is at an 11-month low against the greenback of around 63 US cents. Against the euro, it's buying about 60 euros. That's $100 buying about 60 euros. Again, very low. Against the yen, which is important because Japan buys a truckload of local commodities, the Aussie dollar is actually relatively strong. Now might be the time to take a holiday to Tokyo. And against the UK pound, Michael, it's trading at 52 pence, levels around the lowest in 3 years.
All right, big story. Now, on to story number 2. Australian cattle prices, Sean, have fallen to their lowest level in about 9 years and are likely to actually fall further ahead of drier weather following the onset of El Nino.
The Eastern Young Cattle Indicator, EYCI, one of my faves, has slumped almost 60% this year, and yesterday was near the lowest since December 2014, according to Bloomberg. The total number of cattle has soared over the last 3 years, where plenty of rain has meant plenty of food. But with September the driest on record and El Nino expected to persist until at least the end of February, farmers are poised to ramp up sales and not restock. The influx of cheaper Australian beef hopefully means supermarket beef will be cheaper. Also means we might get some inroads into some of those key Asian markets like Japan and South Korea.
Story number 3, Sean. Australia is suffering the worst skills shortages in 6 decades. Could you believe it? According to the boss of Jobs and Skills Australia, with more than 1/3 of occupations experiencing shortages. This is big.
It is. Peter Dawkins called on the Reserve Bank to not only bring down inflation, but also to help match workforce skills with industry needs. Improving gender balance in the professions with the most severe worker shortages, including technicians and trade workers, health professionals and various types of engineers, is critical. The Jobs and Skills Australia recommends the government adopt broad strategies that straddle vocational education, higher education and migration to ensure new graduates and workers have the skills employers need. In fact, 36% of occupations don't have or can't access workers with the required skills.
Story number 4, just a quick one, Sean. Westpac has reversed a decision to withdraw from the South Pacific yesterday, saying it wants to retain ownership of Westpac Bank PNG and Westpac Fiji.
The bank's been trying to sell the assets, including a $420 million sale of the PNG business 2 years ago that was knocked back by the competition regulator. The federal government's been calling on Australian companies to play a role in the region, in part to dampen the influence of Chinese groups in the South Pacific. Westpac now says the region can play a bigger role in its future.
And finally, story number 5, France is currently hosting the Rugby World Cup and Paris is preparing to host the Olympic Games next year. But, Sean, there has been a rush of bedbug sightings of all things, triggering a bit of a political and PR nightmare.
Videos on social media appear to show the blood-sucking insects crawling over seats on the Paris metro and a high-speed train, according to Bloomberg. Some metro passengers are now vowing to stand up. Public transport operator, RATP, which runs Paris's subway, trams and buses, said it had investigated, but no cases of bedbugs have been confirmed to date. Prime Minister Elizabeth Bourne said the government's working to find long-term solutions for detecting infestations and supporting those affected, while the Health Ministry recommends that travellers inspect hotel beds and be careful when purchasing used furniture or mattresses.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It is Thursday, the 5th of October, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. If 5 minutes isn't long enough for you, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed Business News wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, that comes with a bunch of interviews and things. Today's interview is a fantastic one all about investing in music. Well worth a listen. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.